In this lesson, I'm going to talk about animations with hover. There's actually two types of animations. There's animation with keyframe and animation with hover. In this lesson, I'll just cover animations with hover. So we've talked about hover before. As the mouse goes over a certain object, it can change. Now, the difference here is I just want it to gradually change, and I want to control what changes, how it changes, and the timing of how it changes. So let's go ahead and I'm going to just create, first thing I'm going to do is create a class box, and I'm going to go ahead and create something, background, green, and so first thing I'm going to do is, this is basically the requirement. Number one, you need to set an initial value of the property. So in this case, I'm doing background is green. Okay. Then I got to tell the computer the property I'm going to animate. So what I do is go transition, property. I got to tell the computer this is what I'm going to animate, and the property I'm animating in this case is background. And then it needs a time. Let's go ahead and do transition duration. Again, you've got two options here. You use milliseconds or seconds, ms for milliseconds, s for seconds. But again, you don't want it to be too quick, because if that, why would you bother to do an animation? You just do a hover, it would quickly change. So let's do 3 seconds. Okay. So that's what I got. I got a box with a background that is green. Transition property. What I want to change is the background, and the transition duration is 3 seconds. Just double check. Looks like one of the words is I'm spelling transition wrong. Yes, I did. Transition. Get rid of the extra s. There you go. Okay. Now that's good. Now we got to do is hover. So box in this case colon hover, and then what it is I want to change. So in this case, I want the background to be orange. Again, nothing sacred about these colors. Anything you want. Background. There you go. And for the most part, now I am set up and good to go. So all I got to do is, when it comes to animations with hover, define what the property is I'm going to change and how long it is, and then its new property. Now we're going to go here in the body command. I'm going to do div class is equal to a box, and then box, and then slash div. So there you go. So I've created a class. It will contain a text. It's going to have a green background. Control S to save it, and then here's my Control S, and there you go. There's my blank. Refresh my screen, and then something's wrong. So let's go figure it out. Let's go to Notepad. Let's see Johnny's spelling with me. Background is green. Transition property. Transition background is orange. Okay. Box. Class. Box. Yep. Good to go. Okay. Now I think that was my only typo. Control S. Refresh. And there you go. Okay. Now, really quickly, my cursor goes over, and it changes to, in this case, orange. Cursor removes, cursor goes. Okay. There's a few things we got to clean up here. By default, I didn't define a height, so it took up the entire block element, took up the entire page. So let's go ahead and just change that really quickly, and we'll move on. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's say I want a height 100 pixels, so we get something that looks like a box. Width 100 pixels. Now I should have a little bit more of a box. Control S, refresh, and now I've got sort of a box. Okay, I can also do text align. I can clean this up so it's not in the upper right hand corner, but for right now that's okay. Good. Okay, now what I want to do is, hey, that's cute. I want to do a few more things than that. So again, let's go ahead and I'm just going to do a couple. Let's go and review what we did do. First thing I want to do is I want to change the border radius. So I want to make the picture round. So border radius. So first thing I need to do is I need to define it. Okay, it can be. You can set it to 0 pixels if you want. I'm just going to put 3 pixels. Now, really quickly, I can get away here with a comma. Animations, I got to have this separately. It's got to be a separate line. Anyway, border radius. So computer, I want to animate the border radius. Okay, cool. And then how long is that duration? That duration will be, let's say, 2 seconds. Okay, and then what do you want the border radius to be? I'm going to go ahead and when I hover, I'm going to do border radius is 50%. Okay, so again, just review initial property. Tell the browser, hey, I'm transitioning that property, and then the duration. Really quickly, a word about can be. In my notes, I've got a list of everything that we can do this with in terms of animations. As a general rule, anything that has a numerical value that can change can be made into an animation. Things like display cannot. Display means I've got display inline, display block, and I've also have inline block. But that's about it. I do not have a gradual transition with a midway point to get it to work. Okay, Control S, refresh. There you go. And then let's just move the mouse. There you go. And now, really quickly, besides the color changing, the border radius can change. We'll do one more just to get the hang of it. Let's do, I don't know, font size? Yeah, font size, font color, everything that you know how to do, you can do. You can move left, move right, opacity, everything. Anyway, let's do font size is, we'll do 5 pixels. Or it can be EM again. It doesn't have to be pixels. And then I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to tell the computer font size. Oops, I can see a typo. Font size. Size, there we go. I'm going to go back, fix my typo. Font size is going to be 5 pixels. And then when I hover, I want it to be what? Font size 72. Okay. So let's go ahead and put this all together. Control S, refresh, and there you go. So it starts with a very small, and as the cursor comes, and then I get it to go. Cursor goes over. There you go. So again, you can continue to do this with several things. Hey, I'd like to do several things. I don't want them all like that. You can just simply create different classes. So I just made one class here, a box. But you can create another class and embed one class inside another. Okay, there's a couple other options here I just want to talk about. Transition duration, we've already sort of talked about. The next one is transition, transition timing. I can also do it with a hover, where I do a simple transform. I think I'm going to leave the notes for you. You've got a couple options here, alternate, linear, ease in, ease out, in terms of the options you got for transition. You can also do steps with transition. I do want to talk about one more thing here. I can also do a transformation. So let's go ahead and do that. In transformation, I believe I only need the transformation to occur. So what you can do here is, besides all this, let's go ahead and do transform. And then just go see my notes. I've got transform. I can translate, scale. The problem with the hover is that I can only do one of them right now. I've tried to do multiple. In theory, you should be able to do multiple transformations, but I've been unable to get it to work in Explorer 10. Explore on your own. Make sure that maybe you can do multiple. I was unable to get it to work. 45 DEG degrees. So besides all this, I want, besides my hover, I want it also to, it's not technically an animation property, But by putting it in the hover, it gives you a look of an animation. Control S, refresh, and then it doesn't it translates right away. As soon as it hovers, it jumps, and then you get it to go. I've been unable to get the transformation to be an animation style, at least here with hover. Now, there's part of me that says you should be able to make it an animation. But again, I've struggled with some things, Flexbox and some other things I know will not work in Explorer 10. I'm sort of waiting for Explorer 11. I suspect this is also one of them, where I can make an animation out of a transformation rather than simply put it into the hover part. Okay? So anyway, animations with hover.